This is a First Coast News On Your Side special report.
We're coming on the air at this hour right now because there has been an officer-involved shooting on Buckman Street. That's on Jacksonville's east side of the Talleyrand area. I'm Jeannie Blaylock. We got reports from the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office shortly after 10 this morning. We know that JSO has closed a portion of the Buckman Street from 24th to 27th for this investigation. Right now, we are getting an update from the sheriff, TK Waters. Let's listen.
I don't know if they confronted him or not, but he took off at that point. He was armed with a knife and ran away. The fire was extinguished, so nothing happened to the house. Those people are okay. But patrol continued to arrive. The information was updated to an attempted arson, in addition to the mental ill episode that was going on. So one of the co-responders also deployed to the scene that was going to come try to help out, so to speak. As they set up a perimeter, because he was on foot running, they were on the perimeter for about an hour and a half. It got to a point that they were going to break the perimeter down because they couldn't locate him, and he had covered quite a bit of distance. So at that point, the co-responder was on the scene with the suspect's family back at the location where it all started. At that point, just a couple minutes later, as they're breaking the scene down, one of our canine officers observes the suspect walking down the sidewalk and makes contact with him. The description had gone out. Our suspect had been shot in another incident as a victim previously, so he had some disfigurement in his face and scarring. So the canine officer immediately identified who it was, and he got out to make contact with him. He told him, hey, he called him by name. He said, stop, or I'm going to release the dog. You'll get dog bit. The suspect took off running with the knife. So the canine officer drives down to catch up to him, and as he gets out, he comes around with the taser to engage him, and as he comes out, the suspect threatens him, pushes the knife out toward him twice, saying, get back, get back. So the officer engages, lets go of his taser, drops it in the street, and shoots him with his pistol. At that point, the suspect goes down on the sidewalk, and he just holds him at cover because he was not dead. He's waiting for additional officers to arrive so they could render medical aid. When the officers get there, they get a plan together. They go up, and he's still got the knife in his hand, so one of the officers covers his wrist with his foot, and they get the knife out of his hand, and they start to give medical aid to him at that point. The suspect did not survive the injuries, so he did not make it. I'm not going to give you the suspect's information because we still haven't done a next of kin notification, so we're still working on that. I can tell you he was a 30-year-old black male. I can release that. And our canine officer has been with us 11 years. His name is Caleb Baumgartner, and I'll spell the last name, Bumgarner. His ID number is 73993. It's his first officer-involved shooting. This is our 13th officer-involved shooting of the year. The state attorney is still on scene. They're doing their investigation. And as far as the suspect, like I said, I'm not releasing his information. He's a 30-year-old black male. As far as his criminal history, we have not located a criminal history yet. He does have a few prior Baker Acts. And with that, we can take any questions you have.
Does it seem like he knew the folks at the house that he attempted to put on fire?
I don't know. They're neighbors of his mother. I don't know if he lived there or not. That's all stuff they're still looking at.
So did he actually try to light the house on fire, or he was going? He did.
Two different locations in the house.
Of that house. And where was that house located?
It's in the 1500 block of 16th Street.
100 block. Okay. And then how did we end here? This is where you
He just ran. He ran for an hour and a half, and they had the perimeter, and they kept losing sight. They had the perimeter, they expanded, and he ended up basically 10 blocks away is where all this happened.
Was the taser actually used?
No, he had the taser as he got out, and as he got to the front of the car, he's well within that reactionary gap, and the guy confronts him and points the knife at him 2 times saying, get back, get back. That's a lethal encounter. At that point, he goes to lethal force. So he dropped his taser right in the road and went to his firearm.
It's important to note also, first he warned because he was going to release the dog initially. Then he exited the vehicle and was going to deploy his taser. Then when the knife enters the equation and the threat, he drops that taser and goes lethal. That's the order of how things happen.
About how long were they looking for him?
About an hour and a half.
It's about an hour and a half this morning.
Was there a helicopter involved? We just had some folks mention that they thought they saw or heard a helicopter.
I haven't confirmed that, but there's usually a helicopter if they're available and we have a perimeter. So we haven't confirmed that, but I wouldn't be surprised.
How many shots were fired?
5 shots.
And just wanted to ask about Long Branch Elementary. I know it's kind of a couple blocks away. Is there a soft lockdown or anything going on at the school you're
They're not in any danger at all whatsoever. They were never in any danger.
Does JSO have I know you how we have a protocol with someone, you get a call about being mentally ill in a sense, but can you just describe, I guess, that maybe there's a fine line in terms of when there's a threat versus someone mentally ill and how to deal with that?
Sure. So we have the co-responder program you guys all know about, right? So if it's not a violent situation, we'll deploy the co-responders. We're not going to put them in a situation, the sheriff's mentioned that at the town halls that we just had, we're not going to put a citizen in a violent situation where they become a victim of something. So in this case, he was here, it was upgraded to an arson. The guy was armed with a knife, but the co-responder was back with the family. I'm assuming and I haven't talked to them, but I'm assuming they're trying to get background information, anything that'll help kind of end this peacefully, right? So at that point, that's their role. If this has not been a violent encounter, they do respond with the officers to talk to the person. But anytime there's a weapon involved, we're never going to put them in that situation.
And just to be clear, I know he motioned toward the officer, never actually cut the
No,
officer.
no.
And you said twice he motioned?
Two times, and he said get back both times.
And was he using a lighter to try and start it, or was he like turning on gas on a stove, or?
No idea. You can see it in what we saw. There's evidence. I don't know how he tried to light it. So.
Whose house is this?
A neighbor.
Great, thank you, Sheriff Chief.
All right.
Thank you.
y'all.
So you've been listening to information about the 13th officer-involved shooting in Jacksonville this year. The suspect has died. The officer involved, Caleb Bumgardner, this is his first officer-involved shooting. Apparently, there was a man who had some Baker active information in the past. He'd been Baker active before, was on the loose for an hour and a half running around the Talleyrand area, police in pursuit. When they got to him, a K-9 officer got near him. He had a knife, according to the officer, and he lunged toward the officer, and at that point, the officer fired. The man went down. He's a 30-year-old man. He was not killed at that point, but another officer came and put his foot on the wrist where the man was holding the knife, and then at that point, the man was deceased. So at this point, we understand there is a school nearby, and there is no danger to that school. We have Zach Wilcox. You probably heard him ask him some questions, our reporter on the scene. So again, the officer is okay. The suspect is dead. This is in the Talleyrand area, and there is no danger to the community at this point. But we'll have more information for you starting at noon in just about 40 minutes on First Coast News and on firstcoastnews.com.
This has been a First Coast News On Your Side special report. First Coast News is always on. Stream now on First Coast News Plus.